Live with CDP, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast live on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Now here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 2 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme, aka CDP, sent me. And also, guys, you can order your old electric vehicles now at Barry Collins with the all electric Cadillac Lyric or the all electric Silverado as well. Again, give them a call at 519-824-0210. Tell them that CDP sent you. And also, guys, before I get to my guest, the parts and service department at Barry Cullen Chevrolet is now open on Saturdays from 8 to 4 as well. So I hope everybody's doing well, and I'm looking forward to my guest tonight as well. I really appreciate her coming on. Tonight's guest, Yvette Laboy. She's the host of the Bougie Sports. She's the host of Bougie Sports on her YouTube channel, and she's a Cleveland sports fan, and she's into fantasy football. So she's going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns, maybe a little DeShaun Watson, and her fantasy football teams as well. And I got to be honest, I need to get into fantasy football. I've been an NFL, CFL fan for 40 years. I should actually start trying to do that. So just bear with me, guys, and I'm going to bring on Yvette, and going to talk some football with her.
Hey.
Good evening. Good evening. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Not too bad on this Wednesday, December 7th. Doesn't feel like Christmas. Right now we have mild temperatures here in the Toronto area and no snow. What's it like in Cleveland right now, weather-wise?
It's like rainy. I'm in Youngstown, actually, which is about an hour out of Cleveland.
Okay.
But I'm sure they are having the same kind of weather. So it's kind of cold and rainy, but not snowing. So that's good.
Yeah, where I live here in Ontario, it's a city called Guelph. It's about an hour from Toronto, so it's probably about the same distance from Toronto as for me as you to Cleveland as well. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my podcast show tonight. This is my 222nd episode tonight.
Oh, that would make me the 223rd guest then?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. 23. That's LeBron James. We'll take it at the end of that one. Well,
yeah,
I'm happy that we got to finally get this scheduled. I know you and I have talked before about doing this, and so I'm glad that I, can make it happen tonight. And also, I want to say you are Canadian, correct?
Yes, I am.
I think you said Boogie Sports, and it's Bougie Sports.
Bougie. Oh, okay.
Bougie. Do you know what bougie means?
Okay.
I apologize. You on the spot now.
Okay. No, hey, mistakes happen in this life. So, hey, mistakes happen in that. So I apologize.
Oh my gosh, no, I think it's funny. I'm just busting your balls, actually.
That's okay too. Hey, and like I said, when you go live, sometimes mistakes happen and stuff like that as well. But before we get to the Browns, quick thoughts on LeBron James. Did you see any of that game last night between the Lakers and the Cavaliers?
No, I didn't see any of the game, unfortunately. No. I mean, I read about it, but I didn't get a chance to see it.
I take it your first love is obviously the Browns.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
Well, I love all Cleveland sports. I guess there's been parts of my life where I'd liked each sport a little bit more at some points, but I've always kind of rode hard for the Browns. Like I don't know, the underdog, and I have this crazy addiction to them. I have no idea. I wish I could get help for it, but unfortunately, here I am.
I'm a longtime Philadelphia Eagle fan, and we suffered for many years until we won Super Bowl 52 against Brady and the Patriots. So hang in there. I do think the Browns, I think they're on the upswing. I really do. I do like Chubb. I do like Hunt. And DeShaun Watson as a person, I'm not going to speak about him as a person, but as a quarterback, NFL quarterback, I think he's a franchise quarterback. And that's the problem with the Browns too, is in football, especially if you don't have that franchise elite quarterback, you're not going to win. Back in the 70s and 80s, with the Browns, with Brian Sipe and Kozar and Vinny Testaverde, the Browns had good quarterback play and they won. Like they obviously had good defenses. So I think the Browns, if they can get that franchise quarterback in there with, even with Deshaun Watson, I think that will help them going forward into 2023.
Oh, absolutely. I think when Deshaun Watson, where his talent level is, there's not many people that are that good, so especially getting an elite quarterback. I know he's looking a little rusty, but I'm not letting that worry me at all. I think it's like, like when you're really just really good at something, I think he's just one of those people that are just happens to be very talented and really, really good at football. So I think that the Browns are going to get it together. Everything's going to click, and we're going to win the Super Bowl, of course, like I always do.
Speaking of that,
not this year.
Not this year, no.
It can happen, but
I do like your head coach, Kevin Stefanski. What is it, Stefanski? I think.
Kevin Stefanski. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like him.
Stefanski.
I do like him, and hopefully you guys get the right, and also you need the ownership to put in the right football personnel too. It all starts like it's like any business, and sports is a business too. It all starts with the ownership going all the way down, and hopefully the Browns can turn it around. Now they're 5-7 right now, Yvette. Do you think they could make a run for a wild card, or do you think it's kind of out of too late at 5-7?
I don't think it's ever too late for any team to make a run for the wild card. I think we've seen that happen many times. I never expected the Bengals to be in the Super Bowl. So I think anything could happen, I think as a Browns fan right now, I just want to feel at the end of the season that we have a team that can win the Super Bowl. I think, he's just starting. Maybe we can make it in the playoffs. You never know. Get our feet a little bit wet. Who knows? Anything could happen. It's crazy. But like I said, I think the only thing that we can say this season was completely successful for, I'll just speak for myself as a Browns fan, is at the end of it, I'm like, all right, next year's my year. And this time I really mean it. Because, I've never said that before. I say that. So you guys don't have a football team in Canada, do you?
Yeah, we do.
Is it a whole league of teams?
Yes. Yeah, it's the Canadian Football League. It's been around since 1958. It was before 1958. There's 9 teams in the CFL, and Toronto Argonauts just won their 18th Grey Cup a couple weeks ago against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So we play 3-down football down here. But I love the Canadian Football League. I like the NFL, and I like the rules. I like the rules of both leagues and stuff like that. So here in Canada, I'm spoiled with the CFL and the NFL and having the best of 2 worlds.
Does the CFL play at the same time as the NFL does?
The CFL starts their training camp up in May, and then the regular season starts in June. So they start in June, and the Grey Cup is usually the last weekend of November. So they do overlap. They don't have the same exact schedule as the NFL, but they do overlap for a couple of months in that. But the CFL obviously finishes up a couple months before the NFL does.
Okay.
So if you have any questions about
how
CFL,
many teams are in the CFL?
9 teams right now. 9 teams.
Okay.
Hopefully,
so there's no divisions or anything. It's just 9.
No,
teams.
there's no. Actually, there's 2 divisions. The East Division has 4 teams, and the Western Division, which is the Western Canada, they have 5 teams. So I'm hoping eventually they'll get that 10th team and have 5 on each division and make it balanced.
I mean, it seems like that would make sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and
more teams, that's more money too. When you think more.
Yep. And a lot of guys from the NFL have played in the CFL.
Really?
Jeff Garcia played in the CFL. Doug Flutie, Warren Moon, Joel Theismann. Like I said, Mike Vanderjagt too. So, and a lot of the guys come from the States. Even Chad Johnson, Ojo Cinco, played in the CFL. And he said it was an adjustment. Yeah, he did. And he said guys have to realize the CFL it's a good league. It's professional football, and there's only so many jobs in the NFL. But the CFL is 3 downs instead of 4 downs, and the field is much longer. Our field's, I think, about 10, 20 yards longer, and our end zones are about double the size of the NFL. And our goalposts are at the goal line. In the NFL, the goalposts are at the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how that is for like people that do come from the NFL to transition into the CFL. Like, I think that would probably be difficult.
a little bit of an adjustment,
Yeah.
but then once they get used to it, it's to them it's football. They just don't have the money in the CFL like the NFL does. Like we have a TV contract with TSN, but it's not like the NFL with ESPN and Fox and NBC. So the guys don't make nearly as much money as the NFL, but it's really
But
a
they
fan league.
probably play with like more heart.
While
It's
they
not
also
about
have
money as much. So maybe it's like, maybe I should check. When's the next game? I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, the next CFL game, unfortunately, the Grey Cup just finished, the 109th Grey Cup. So the next CFL game, Toronto won 24-23 on a blocked field goal. They blocked a field goal at the end of the game to win the Grey Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, there was 2 blocked field goals in the last minute of that game. So yeah, go on CFL.ca or just type Google Grey Cup, and there's so much stuff about the CFL. Honestly, like I said, I know a lot of Americans that like it too. It's football, but it's just a little bit different. The rules are a little bit different than the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Definitely. And
how long is it? Like, how long is a game? Is it the same?
Yeah, it's the same. It's 4 quarters, 15 minutes. And then their overtime is more like college football overtime than the NFL college football. Their overtime is like college football in the States overtime.
Awesome.
Definitely.
And that was an awesome little lesson on the CFL. Thank you.
No problem. And maybe you can give me a lesson on fantasy football. I should start playing fantasy football as well. Now, I just want to get into some questions with you. Can you just tell my audience just a little bit about yourself? And do you remember your first sporting event you went to? And how did you end up becoming a Cleveland Browns fan?
Sure. Well, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, and it's a big football state. We're right in between. Well, Ohio's big. Youngstown, the city, is right in between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So there's a big rivalry between, the Steelers and the Browns. So we have that, and that's been rooted in me since growing up. The first sports game I've ever went to was an Indians game, and I remember that because I got an autograph by Omar Vizquel, and I was so excited. So yeah, that was my first game, and I loved it. I really loved Indians. Was like the first team when we were talking about earlier. The Indians were like the first team that I really started watching back in the late 90s when the Browns went to Baltimore. Because I wasn't really a huge Browns fan until they came back from that. I was more of an at that time. That's when the Indians were really, really good, and yeah, that was the first love, I guess. Also, my father was a huge Cavs fan, so as a girl, I remember watching the games with him and in the Browns games too. But I don't know, something about the Browns, it just clicked with me. And I just started to love it. I think it was a way to bond with my dad. It was like, oh my God, we had something to talk about. So I liked that. And then I think it's just something that's inside of me, just to be so obsessed with the game. I love, like I said, the story. It's the story of the Browns. It sucks. It's like tragic, it's like a Greek tragedy almost, it's not like a happy story. It's not a team where it's like every year, like, yeah, we're winning. It's tough. Like almost every Sunday you get really close to death, and you're doing that for many years. It takes a toll on your health. So there's also that with being a Browns fan, but I would never, ever root for another team ever. It's just, I'm Cleveland girl, Browns girl. And even with the DeShaun Watson thing, we got so much horrible press. And right now, I think we probably are the most hated team in the league, or, seen as the villain. But can't really worry about that. I think if we knew every single villain on every team, it would be different if people would come out, but I'm just here. I'm always going to be a Browns fan. They're going to still be there when DeShaun Watson's not there, whoever's not there. And my daughter that I'm raising, she's going to be a Browns fan because she has no other choice.
Did you ever get to go to the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium before they demolished it back in the 90s?
You know what? I don't know if I don't think I was at that stadium, to be honest. At the original stadium. Because I'm trying to think of the first Browns game that I ever went to. I don't like sitting out in the cold. So that I like to go to the first, like the home opener, the first couple of games in September, October. Those are the fun games to go to. The one game I went to a game one time, I think it was either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. It's one of the eves. And I remember having a beer and it actually froze.
Wow, that's cold.
I don't know.
That's cold when beer freezes.
I could love them at home in my warm house. So
yeah. Do you have an all-time favorite Browns player and a Browns jersey that you love?
Yeah. Current I love Joe Thomas. I love Joe Thomas. I think it's because he was on the Browns before they were good, hyped, or even talked about, before Baker came. I think the Browns got turned into a little bit more, public when Baker came to the team because people wanted to talk about him. But, and there's Joe Thomas who just had to be on the team when they were awful, and he was so good, and he's still here. So I do love him. And then right now I love Nick Chubb, of course. I mean, I loved him did you watch Hard Knocks? The Browns? Oh no, you're not a Browns fan. What's your favorite? Oh, Eagles.
Eagles, but yes, Eagles, and I'm an NFL fan too. And what I'm trying to do with my podcast show is try to get fans or media from all 32 teams on my podcast show so I can CDP goes around the NFL. And I like to learn from other teams, fans and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's an awesome idea. How cool. I'm very privileged to be your Browns representative.
No problem. And I was going to say, I need to get down to an NFL game in Cleveland because I hear that the tailgating is amazing and the fans are so passionate. I do find that Browns are similar to Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills and the Browns, similar weather, similar fan bases, and similar hard luck. And hopefully maybe Buffalo can bring a Super Bowl back to Lake Erie this year.
Okay, fine. I'm jealous of them.
Well, hey, they had to suffer for a long time, and then
I know.
And then the ownership brought in Brandon Beane from Carolina, Sean McDermott, and then they got lucky with Josh Allen as well. And that's where it starts with. It's not just management, is getting that franchise quarterback. And it's like the Eagles. The reason why the Eagles have turned it around after a couple of bad years with Carson Wentz is because Jalen Hurts in his third year has developed into an elite quarterback. So it is so important in the CFL, NFL, college football to have that elite quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. We could have had Josh Allen.
Yes, but
shoulda, woulda.
Definitely. And
but
you guys,
know what? I didn't at that draft. I wanted Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, unfortunately, he just never panned out in Cleveland. And
I know. Why do I always pick the wrong men?
Well, it happens. Buffalo picked bad quarterbacks for many years too. So sometimes it's just you need a little bit of luck on your side as well. Look at Green Bay. They've had Favre and Rodgers for the last 30 years. New England's had Tom Brady for 20 plus years. So it's just you need a little bit of luck too in the National Football League.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, you never know when that diamond in the rough is going in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to suck at the right time,
Look at the Detroit Lions. They've won one playoff game since 1957.
Yeah.
So you Browns fans think they have it hard. The Lions have had it even harder.
It's true in life. Do you think it's bad? Yeah, I know. I've noticed that now when the Browns are on a bye and I watch other teams and you actually can watch another team being terrible and you're like, ooh, you kind of suck. Because usually I watch the Browns suck on Sundays. When they're off, you can watch somebody else suck. You're like, okay, we're better than that. And I think the Browns, the roster, obviously, is elite. We have number one running backs in the league. I think that goes without question. If DeShaun Watson, hopefully gets where we think he can be, then he'll be a top 5, maybe 3 quarterback. So our defense needs a little bit of work, but I mean, come on, we got some studs on that too. So we have like I said, it just all has to hit right. And I just want a scandal-free off season. That's all.
Definitely.
No scandals, no major changes. I think, everyone always, let's fire this person. Let's fire Kevin Stefanski. Let's just try to make it work. Just like they say in that, like, instead of the grass isn't always greener. I think we do have the right parts with Barry and Stefanski. I think they're amazing duo. I think they're hitting rough spots too with everything that's happened. I mean, it's like the National Enquirer, this coming into this season, it's been more about the scandal and everything else. And we just need to focus on complimentary football, like he says all the time, and get back to winning. And that's my daughter.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
I turned to one.
Say hi to her for me.
Okay.
Turn back to normal.
She turned me back to normal.
Wow.
As for kids, like I said,
I knew she was going to try to get in here. Hold on just 1 second back.
no worries. But
Wait, Ella, who's your favorite football team?
good question.
Are you kidding me? We're live. Don't embarrass me on live television. Who's your favorite football team?
Can I get over there?
All right, fine. You're not going to get anything for Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, who's your favorite football team? Get
Jamas.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. Anyways,
No worries.
it was nice talking to you. Unfortunately, I think mom duty calls. I don't want her to get on here. Ella, get back.
Okay, no problem. Can I just ask you one more question?
Sure. Yeah.
I was gonna say just your fantasy football team. How many Browns do you have on it, and do you have any Eagles on it as well?
Ooh. I have Jalen Hurts on one of my fantasy teams. And this year I'm in 3 leagues. I'm making the playoffs in 2 out of 3. I'm 2 super flex leagues where you have you play 2 quarterbacks, and then just like a regular standard league. I know you don't know much about fantasy football, but once I get to Toronto, I've never been to Toronto either.
Never been to Canada yet?
No. Well, I went to Niagara Falls because we used to always go there before we turned 21 because you were able to drink at 19.
Yeah.
So we would just go to the Niagara Falls part, go over there, and that was awesome. But is it still 19 there to drink?
Yeah, it's still 19 here, and I guess in the States it's still 21.
Yes, it is.
Definitely so. But overall, your fantasy football team's doing well. I'll let you go. Just
Absolutely.
wrap it up.
Overall, they're doing well, which is like you said about the NFL having to have luck. That's the same as in fantasy football. Fantasy football is a lot of luck. You don't want, if you have injured players, that has a lot to do with it. So I'm just having a year this year, which is good because I talk so much crap. So it's good when I can back it up. But hey, I'm used to talking crap and not being able to back it up because I'm a Browns fan, and I'm always like, yeah, we'll kick your butt, even though I know that we're not. It doesn't bother me.
Definitely. And my last question I wanted to ask you, I just wanted where can my audience find you on social media? And again, they can follow your YouTube channel as well.
Yes, thanks for asking. You can follow me on my YouTube channel is in the works. Like my whole podcast, it's actually just in the works. I talk more about having a podcast than actually making a podcast, but I'm just kind of building my social media pages. I've filmed a lot of stuff already with Keith Migra and his guys, and we filmed so much stuff. So we're going to be putting that out there soon. And so you can find me on Instagram at bougie_sports_Yvette. I hope it's that and not Yvette_bougie_sports. Either that or reverse. I should probably know that. And on Twitter, it's Yvette Laboy at Twitter, and on my Facebook page too as well.
Definitely. And Okay, that's great. And just a quick prediction on the Browns Bengals game for Sunday as well. And who should we, the fantasy guys should look to pick for that game in the game against Cincinnati?
Well, history's saying that Burrow cannot beat the Browns. So I'm going to just keep it going and say Browns 23, Bengals 20.
Who's the X factor in that game? Quick X factor for the Browns.
You know what? We're going to go to Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt? Good
Kareem
choice.
Hunt, yes.
Good choice. Okay. I was going to say, I'm going to let you go because being a mom and a parent is a full-time job. But I want to say thank you so much for giving me some time tonight to come on here. And I would definitely like to have you come back on again in the future as a guest and maybe get into a little more fantasy football with you and a little bit more about the Cleveland Browns and where they're going in 2023 and beyond.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Definitely. And just give me about maybe 15 minutes. And I'll have this, if you give me about 15 minutes, I'll have this podcast show downloaded to all my audio platforms as well. And I'll send you a link as well. But it was great talking with you, Yvette. And say hi to your daughter and make sure she's spoiled for Christmas. Wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas. And we'll definitely keep in touch with you on social media.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. I'm looking forward to
You're welcome. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my podcast tonight with Yvette Laboy. She is the host of a YouTube channel called Bougie Sports, and she's in the process of starting up her own podcast about the Cleveland Browns as well. Before we wrap up this podcast show, guys, just going to show you a little clip of fantasy football here. And this is courtesy of NFL Fantasy Football YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, it is Monday, December 5th, 2022. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. Try the Subway Series menu, your pick of 12 irresistible subs. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and the specialist cast of dozens that always put on this show every single day and every single week. And we have one game left in week 13. Then we head into the final week of the fantasy regular season. Now for you, for real football, it was a good week for the Bills. I mean, you guys sat at home, watched TV, and went from the 5 seed to the 1 seed. Like, things could not have broken better for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Thanks to you guys, the 49ers upsetting the Dolphins, and then the Bengals beating the Chiefs. Right now, I mean, I'm happy as a Bills fan, but I think as a Chiefs fan, you have to be a little bit worried. You lost to the Bills and the Bengals, your top two teams to get to the Super Bowl right now.
Those are the teams that you might have to go through to get to another Super Bowl. And right now, for whatever reason, Joe Burrow just has the Chiefs number more than anything. So that has to be concerning if you are a Chiefs fan. We have plenty to talk about on the show. We've got our 5 biggest takeaways from the week, some waiver wire targets, which are going to be incredibly important on a week where there are 6 teams on a bye, Madden movers. Plus, we're going to do some real or mirage for the rest of the season, looking at some players that might have had some big weeks in the last week or two. But let's get started, as we always do, with some fantasy headlines. So the 49ers got a win, but they also suffered a loss. Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a broken foot against the Dolphins on Sunday. He'll need surgery and is going to miss the rest of the season. Brock Purdy, a.k.a. Mr. Irrelevant in the draft, maybe his QB1 now. He filled in, tossing 2 touchdowns and a pick and win over the Dolphins. If Brock Purdy is going to be the starter for the rest of the season, and right now that's what signs point to, how comfortable are you starting the rest of the 49ers offensive pieces?
Not very. I think Christian McCaffrey obviously stays in play because he's Christian McCaffrey. He had 10 targets yesterday in a game where Brock Purdy threw the ball 37 of their 41 attempts. Deebo Samuel had 10 targets. I also feel good about Deebo because I think that McCaffrey and Deebo are the 2 players in this offense that you can manufacture touches for. Like, we saw them do it with Deebo all last year throughout the playoffs. Like, Kyle Shanahan just puts him in a spot, design runs, whatever it may be, to get him the ball. I'm worried about Ayuk, who's someone who would win downfield. I don't know if Brock Purdy can get the most out of him like Jimmy G was. And we already thought Trey Lance would get more out of him than Jimmy G was. And I'm really worried about George Kittle, who had just 3 targets in a fantastic matchup yesterday.
I think for Kittle, the issue is, do they leave him in as a pass protector now for Brock Purdy? Just because, I don't know if he's going to manipulate the offense the same way Garoppolo does. I'm with you. I'm fine with Christian McCaffrey. I think they figure out a way to manufacture touches for him. And maybe this sort of gives Deebo Samuel a boost, because I was of the opinion that Samuel was maybe not officially benchable, but it was hard to start him each and every week. But I think they can figure out a way to manufacture touches for Deebo Samuel now. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm with you. Ayuk, I think, takes a big downgrade. I think all the pass catchers do take a bit of a hit. But if there's one that can sort of survive it, it's probably Deebo Samuel. Worried very much about George Kittle the rest of the way. In Baltimore, Lamar Jackson left Sunday's game against the Broncos in the first quarter with a knee sprain. Now, after the game, John Harbaugh said it's not a season-ending type of knee injury. Jackson will get some more tests on Monday. Tyler Huntley filled in for Jackson, led the Ravens to a 10-9 win. But it was getting hard to start any Ravens not named Lamar Jackson or maybe Mark Andrews. If it is Tyler Huntley, are we down to just Mark Andrews as the only startable Raven?
Yeah, I think so. And before everyone who has Mark Andrews.
All right, guys, that clip was courtesy of the NFL Fantasy League YouTube channel as well. So you can check them out on NFL Fantasy League on YouTube as well. As again, guys, as always, my next live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, is going to be Thursday, December 8th, tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern. My guest is going to be Pat Gregor from Coolbet Canada, and the color analyst for the National Lacrosse League's Halifax Thunderbirds and TSN's Game of the Week as well. So Pat's going to come on and talk about the opening week of the National Lacrosse League, and also the outdoor game that's going to be in San Diego this year between the Desert Dogs and the San Diego Gulls as well, and talk about the new team, the Vegas Desert Dogs, the 15th team, and the National Lacrosse League as well, and about possible expansion into the National Lacrosse League in the future. Right now, it's a 15-team league, 8 teams in the East Division, and 7 on the West. So I assume if there's going to be a 16th team to balance out the league at 16, that 8th team would be probably going into the Western Conference. And to me, Seattle is a no-brainer for a lacrosse team, but we'll see what happens there as well. So I hope you guys can tune in. This will be Pat Gregor's record 6th appearance on Live with CDP podcast. Pat's also a huge Leaf fan, huge Bills fan, sports fan in general, but we're going to definitely have a good podcast about the National Lacrosse League as well. Guys, for college football, we got Michigan and Texas Christian University on December 31st, 4 o'clock. And then the 8 o'clock game, Ohio State and Georgia. Both games are on ESPN. I'm picking Michigan and Georgia to both win and play for the national championship. So we'll see what happens there. But again, I hope you guys can tune into my podcast show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern with Pat Gregor, Season 5, Episode 3 as well. Also, I want to say Live with CDP Sports Talk is now live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and on my LinkedIn page as well. And I want to say thank you to everybody for watching me on the 5 live stream platforms now as well. And I'm also on 14 audio platforms as well. So, and I'm hoping to reschedule one of my guests, Stu Boyer, hopefully in the future, to come back on and talk about the Bills and the Sabres as well. And always, Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 and tell them that Chris Palma, aka CDP, sent you down there as well. And I just bought my 2023 Chevy Trailblazer from Barry Cullen Dealership as well. Good folks down there as well. And I really appreciate them sponsoring Live with CDP Sports Talk. And as of March will be my 3rd year since I started up this podcast show as well. And also Live with CDP podcast. The audio version is downloaded to iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Stitcher, Tuned In, and Podbean as well. And if you guys give me about 10-15 minutes, I'll have this episode downloaded to my audio platforms as well. And also, guys, StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're going to do a podcast or do webinars on here, I would highly recommend StreamYard. Zoom's good, but to me, StreamYard I think is even better, and I recommend StreamYard. Also, guys, you can follow me on social media platforms. You can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I post a lot of content there, pictures now, videos. I do some interviews with athletes and media on my TikTok page as well. So I hope you can check that out as well. And that's about it, guys. Before we wrap it up, also, there's some NFL news today. The Buffalo Bills announced Wednesday morning that their pass rusher, Von Miller, will miss the remainder of the season with the torn ACL. That is going to hurt Buffalo's Super Bowl chances. Miller was leading the team in sacks and pressures, and he is a two-time Super Bowl champion and a future Hall of Fame linebacker as well. Huge blow to the Buffalo Bills, and next man up mentality now in Buffalo. And the Bills take on the Jets Sunday at 1 o'clock at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. As for the Eagles are on the road at MetLife Stadium to take on their division rival Giants at 1 o'clock as well. As for Miller ranks third in the NFL in quarterback pressures with 38, behind Dallas linebacker Micah Parsons. Terrific player, by the way, Micah Parsons, and also Patriots linebacker Matthew Judon had 36. No other Bills player has more than 12 quarterback pressures, with Miller's 216 pressure gap, the largest in the NFL this season. So it's going to be hard to replace a Hall of Fame linebacker like Von Miller, but it's the National Football League next man up mentality, and that's why I tell fans, even being an Eagles fan, take 1 week, one game at a time, because injuries can affect your team. They can affect your whole season and your playoff chances as well. So, and like I said, San Francisco is dealing with a lot as well, injuries, and Trey Lance was out for the year, and then Jimmy G injured, it broke his foot against Miami. He's out for 7 to 8 weeks, and now they're to their third string quarterback and Brock Purdy. But the who was it? The Rams picked up Baker Mayfield since Matt Stafford is done for the year as well, I believe. Matt Stafford, I don't know if he's done for the year, but they picked up Baker Mayfield as well. But the Niners, it's going to be a tough sleigh ahead for the Niners, and the Niners have to take on Tom Brady and the Bucks this Sunday as well. And I think that's going to be a very good game against Tampa Bay and Brady against that San Francisco defense as well. San Francisco's got one of the top defenses in the National Football League as well. Again, I want to say thank you to my guest, Yvette Laboy, for coming on tonight and talking a little bit about the Cleveland Browns and a little bit about our fantasy football picks and team. And also, I'm hoping, like I said, to reschedule with Stu Boyer again in the future to come back on my podcast show as well. But I hope you guys can enjoy my two shows today. I did the first show I did solo, and this one with Yvette Laboy as well. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's show. Tomorrow night with Pat Gregor, 7 o'clock Eastern, and we'll be talking National Lacrosse League and maybe some rules about the National Lacrosse League. I noticed at the game I went to in Buffalo this week, if you interfere with a goaltender, it's a 5-minute penalty. In hockey, it's 2 minutes. And in lacrosse, if you even step on that white line, they will deny goals. They're very strict about crease violations in the National Lacrosse League. So we're going to talk to Pat about the league in general, some of the rules, and his thoughts on being back with the TSN Game of the Week with John Abbott and Ashley Docking as well. They do a really good job on TSN and also ESPN as well. And really looking forward to speaking to Pat. And this is his 6th time coming on live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet as well. That's about it, guys. I hope everybody has a great night. And hope you guys can tune into season 5, episode 3 tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with Pat Gregor. And I possibly have another podcast show Friday night as well with somebody from the New York Giants. We'll cross their fingers and we'll see if they can come on my show this Friday night at about 6:30 and talk a little bit about the NFC East rival New York Giants and their matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday at MetLife Stadium at 1 o'clock. And that's going to be a good football game, even though the Eagles on talent have more talent than the Giants. Obviously, the Eagles are 11-1. The Giants are 7-4-1. I don't think the Giants are going to be pushovers against the Eagles, especially being at home against Philadelphia. So the Eagles are going to have their work cut out for them in East Rutherford, New Jersey this Sunday as well. That's about it, guys. Before I wrap this up, guys, check out the Argonauts.ca, the official website for the 2022 Grey Cup champions. I am most likely going to get my season ticket for next year for the Toronto Argonauts at BMO Field. And I just really love the CFL a lot. It's a great game, and I had a great time this year. And yeah, being at BMO Field is a great experience as well. And also, guys, being a new Lacrosse fan, Buffalo Bandits, check out their website, bandits.com, for information about the Buffalo Bandits or to buy their merchandise or get game tickets as well. Or check out the NLL website, nationallacrosseleague.com, NLL.com, or check out the TorontoRock.com as well. That's about it, guys. Again, want to say thank you to Yvette Laboy for coming on. Pardon me. Trying to get her name pronounced right, for coming on today. And again, check out her YouTube channel. I'll put it right up on here for you guys. Check out at Boogie Sports 2988 on her YouTube channel. And she is working on a Cleveland Browns podcast show as well. And you can also follow her on Twitter at Yvette at Twitter, Yvette at Laboy on Twitter as well. That's about it, guys. Again, thank you, everybody, for watching this live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And also thank you to everybody listening on my audio platforms later on as well. I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night for another edition of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles. Have a good night, guys, and thanks again for watching it and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk.